All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome, tech enthusiasts, to the hub of innovation and knowledge, Tech Unbound with Analytics. If this is the first time you are joining us, please do well to hit that subscribe button down below and join our Analytics community so that anytime there's an update, you'd actually be the first one to actually get it. My name is Aimwa Odia, and I am going to be your host today. And with me here is the very big data scientist, Sebastian Obeta. He is an AI expert and researcher that specializes in natural language processing. That is a subset of AI. And he's also currently a data scientist slash data analyst at the University of Cambridge. And he focuses on advancing AI technologies and exploring the potentials that come with it. Welcome to Sebastian to Tech Unbound with 10 Analytics. How are you doing today?
Yeah, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, Imwa. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. I am super excited to have you in our midst today, and I'm sure that we are going to be having a swell time. So, a number of persons know you already, I can tell. Checking your profile on LinkedIn, it shows that you are passionate about data science, and that is why you were able to co found and even find be a founder of one particular group. What group is that?
Yeah, it's an applied artificial intelligence society at the University of Bradford. So what we do is try to build capacity building. Um, I mean, what's brought about it is when you look at the data space or when you look at the global market, recruiters are crying out for talents, whereas talents themselves are actually looking for a job. But you now see that every university in the world studies data. Now, how do we transform that classroom learning, transform it in such a way that we are not looking at classroom setting, but looking at people coming to study in a university and at the same time having that industrial experience. So that's what gave birth to the society. And we're actually making giant stride in the north of England at the moment.
That is great. Thank you so much. And I also see that you also um, teach data science slash data analytics at the University of Cambridge. How's it been so far?
So I'm not a lecturer at University of Cambridge.
Okay.
So I'm a
All
data
right.
analyst and scientist
Okay.
with the Department of Business Information and Strategic Insight. So what we do basically is to look at the planning side of things and modeling, derive intelligence from data, and look into the research side of things at University of Cambridge. I mean, I get that a lot when people say, "Okay, data. Oh, you mean you're lecturing?" No, 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 no. I'm not a lecturer, though I've
All
lectured
right.
in different spheres. I've lectured with Southampton University with QA, and yeah, again, part of lecturing is also mentoring, which I'm so big. I'm
Actually,
big at it. Yep.
that's good. So I did a lot of research about you, and I realized that you were recognized as one of the top 100 African business leaders, entrepreneurs, and also professionals in the UK by the AFBC, that's the African Business Chambers. And you won a hackathon. Do you want to tell us about that?
So where do I start from? The hackathon or the recognition by
It's on
African
you.
business chambers? Okay, so so the hackathon was at the peak of the pandemic. I mean, reluctantly, one of my professors then, lecturers, Professor Safia, just sent me the link and said, "Oh, participate in this hackathon." And the hackathon was organized by PwC UK, Microsoft, and UK Black Tech. So we're trying to look at the problems within UK environment and try to bring a solution to it. So we are five in my team, and what we developed was we developed a prototype that addresses domestic violence in the UK, and it was the event was amazing, and we are currently looking at into bringing it into the market at the moment with the help of PwC incubation.
Wow. That is great. That's super nice. So I also figured that you were also included in the D list. That's like a collection of exceptional entrepreneurs and innovators. So how did you get to the D list too?
I mean, honestly, I'm wise since you've done a very deep research
A
about
whole I
me.
told you I did so much research about you. So yes, tell us about it. Everybody listening would want to know how you got there and what your experience there has actually been like.
Well, the day list is a list of exceptional entrepreneurs within UK who are trying to build the Black community and at the same time build the labor force generally. So I think I was spotlighted by the organization, and yeah, I've been trying to add my own quota to building the Black community within UK and also at the global stage. So I didn't really answer the other one about African business chambers. So African business
Okay.
chambers are very big based on what they are into. And I mean I'm humbled to be nominated as among the top 100 African business leaders, entrepreneurs, and professionals in the UK in last year. Yeah.
That's great. That's super amazing. So I've actually said so much about your not so much. I've said so much about your data analytics slash data science role. Were you always a data scientist? Did you just immediately become one? Or you had a different background before actually entering into the field? So we want to know how was it like for you?
I mean, while you were asking the question, something came to my mind. I mean,
Okay.
is there anyone that was born a data scientist?
I don't think
I
so,
don't
but
think so.
with the so much you have accumulated so much awards in the industry, and come to think of it, someone would just believe that you were probably born into the field. But you can tell us how it actually went. Would like to know.
Well, I wasn't born into the field, and just to tell you that I've not scratched the surface. So just leave
Oh my
the
god,
little ones
that's
that you've
good.
seen. Based on aspirations, I look forward. I have mentors that I'm currently looking forward to it and a greater height. But that's another conversation on another day. Yeah. So my background was in physics. I studied BSc in physics from Michael Okpa University. Yeah. So then when I finished, I started working as an ATM engineer in one of the companies, IT companies, top five IT companies in Nigeria. Then from there, I moved into system analyst, became a service desk with one of the top banks in Nigeria. I'm not sure if I'm permitted to call them, but yeah, from there I moved into telecommunication industry as also a system analyst. Now there was something remarkable about these two industries. I saw the multiple streams of data that is being generated at every point in time. I mean, looking at from the angle where I was, because then I was brooding myself to become either a Windows enterprise engineer or to become a data storage engineer. So data storage engineers are those who are into data storage, maintenance, virtualization, management, and all that. And I was being trained by the organization that I was working with. To be a specialist on NEPTAP. NEPTAP is another operating system. You know, people only know Windows and Mac OS, but there is another software called NEPTAP. So within that NEPTAP, that was what I was being trained to look into how to create visualization, segment things in there. But looking at the multiple streams of income from the two industries, the telecommunication and the financial industry, I started asking myself, I think this is high time for meaningful insight to be derived from such data, because what you see then was more like business intelligence specialists, business developers, and the likes of them. And that was what prompted me to see to get into the world of data science and to start studying data science.
Wow, that's great. That's really amazing. So if you had all of that as your starting point, because really didn't start up as a data scientist, so you had to do all other different job roles before you eventually became at the point where you currently are. So from the time where you started your first job till when you started your first data scientist or analyst role, what did you think was able to motivate you? What was the motivating factor? What made you want to go for more? Because you were doing well. Come on, you were working in the topmost banks in Nigeria, one of them, and you were doing so well. I want to believe. So, what was the reason behind your career switch, or did you really have any specific events that actually inspired the whole transition?
Yeah, so yeah, there was a specific event that inspired the transition. But prior to that, I've just been thinking how to get into the data space, business automation, business IT leadership, and the likes of them. That was what I was thinking until when I in 2018 or 17 thereabout, I came back from leave, and everyone was talking about data science, data analytics, data science at the office. So I'm like, I asked one of my colleagues then, who was one of the champions in it, and I asked him, so what's data science? And they mentioned one of my mentors' name. I mean, then he was not my mentor, but I admired him from afar. Permit me to mention his name, Dr. Bayo Lukambi.
Please do.
Okay, that's fine. So, yeah, so then I went to my mentor and I asked him, "What is data science?" Because when I asked whosoever, when I asked my colleague, they said, "Oh, data science is this." I mean, calling the name of that my mentor. Then he was not my mentor, but I admired him from afar. Then I had to go up to him in his office because we were on the same floor where I was working, and talked about it. And he said data science all about trying to derive intelligence from data with multiple streams, and everything started making sense to me. So yeah, that was where the thoughts came. So that was the event, or that's the thought that made me to transition into it. And we spent roughly about an hour plus, an hour 15 minutes to be precise. So I can't even remember the date and the time. It was in the evening, and yeah, I'm super excited. I heed to every advice and subsequent counseling and advice I got from him, and I'm happy where I am, and I look forward to where I'll be in the next a few years to come.
That's great. We have your mentor right now to thank for how far you've come or how you actually got to start. So along the way, that means after you got that 1 hour, 15 minutes conversation with that particular mentor, that means you had to start making process. You had to start taking steps to actually acquire this skill that we actually talk about. So what exactly did you need to acquire the necessary skills, the necessary knowledge, and everything you actually needed to go into this tech path? So this is you transitioning into something you haven't been into before. So what did you need to do? Did you have to take specific courses, attend boot camps, or engage in self-study? So what did you really get to do to get started?
I mean, I mean, everything you've mentioned were part of the things that I did. So from there, so I started self-learning. I mean, the self-learning it's so instructive and I mean, that is just one of it. And now, what happened was the self-learning was geared to getting into one of the boot camps that was being organized by the organization. And yeah, and there's this friend of mine then who is currently here in the UK as well. So two of us were in the office and we were looking at reading data science, reading machine learning, looking at deep learning, and we did it for 3 months. I mean, I can tell you categorically that we did not get to our house for 3 months studying back to back. I mean, so to the point that in the office, people will be thinking probably our landlords gave us quick notice. That's why we're not going back home. Yeah, so self-learning was there. Then boot camp was one that exploded our minds into great realities as to what the world of data science is all about, because different experts came to talk to us during the boot camp and you could see them practically. It's not about somebody coming to teach you and the person is talking theory. They were actually doing the doing. I mean, that's a popular slogan here in Nigeria, doing
Yeah,
the doing.
sure.
They're actually doing the doing. So yeah, it was interesting, and that was where my interests grew further. Then outside from that boot camp, mentors were assigned, and I was happy to be assigned to one of the great mentors that DSN had then, and had, or one of the mentors in DSN by who is also a South African and one of the top CEOs in the world now. So I was assigned to him, and he gave me some nuggets and some links, and from time to time he checks my progress. And yeah, so combination of everything. Most importantly, self-learning, self-driving. Then I had mentors who actually assisted me. Then I attended boot camps and different conferences. At some point, I'll just be Googling AI conferences around the globe, AI conferences in Lagos, AI conferences in the city where I am, and I'll attend just to have to share the ideas, just to get insight and to grow my connections.
So that means that as much as you got so many mentors around you, you had to still take that extra push because you mentioned that self learning was actually very good for you. That's great. Thank you so much for that. So, you have spoken about a lot of positive things around your learning journey and how you actually got started in the whole tech space. Did you at any point face any challenge during the course of your transitioning journey? Did you at any point face anyone?
Yeah, yes. I mean, the reason why I'm laughing is because yes. So I'm going to talk about. I'm going to say it in two forms. One, the challenges I faced while I was in Nigeria growing up.
Oh,
I
great.
mean, growing up into data space, because I think this one will be people will relate more. I mean, people who are from that side. I mean, there are a lot of challenges out. There are a lot of challenges that I encountered, um, and which I call the digital divide. I mean, yeah, good thing is that there's always a bridge coming up within that space. But one of the top challenges was trying to get access to information. Access to information is not that easy. I mean, you could imagine the amount of data that you need to buy for you to watch one YouTube video, and before you know it, the data will be
They're
gone.
telling you
Just
you have 500 MB remaining. Something that you just bought. I think I can relate to
exactly.
that.
I mean, that was one of our biggest. That was one of my biggest challenge, and yeah, so that was initially I mentioned that we slept in the office, so that was the reason why, since we are opportune to be in that environment where we have access to internet, so there's no need going home. Let's do the doing here.
Utilize it.
Let's
Exactly.
exactly. So yeah, I'm happy that it paid off. And so when I call that my friend and we'll reflect on all of those things, it gives us joy. That's one of the challenges. And the second challenge is about light as well. Um, I know, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's not something known, because even if you have your laptop to work with, if there's no light for you to recharge or to charge the laptop, the battery drain at least a maximum of 5 to 7 hours. And in such moments, when you are doing heavy loading of data, depending on the platform or the nature of data that you're working with, it gets, I mean, you need to get back to light. And once the laptop trips off, your train of thought disconnects immediately. So then again, part of the things I know the body that my mentor actually instituted was to create a knowledge hub that contains about 2 terabytes worth of lessons and books on data. So that's actually helped us to mitigate that side of buying data, because there's no how you can finish that 2 terabytes worth of studies, books, videos on the hard drive, and you will not be a sound AI data or machine learning or whatever career endeavor that you want to get into. Now, above it is then coming to UK to study. Then at some point, I decided that I think I need to add a degree to whatever I'm learning, because I've gotten a lot of certifications then. So when I came to UK to study, it was not that easy as well. Yeah, because of course you pay thousands of pounds to come and study. You have to save it or get it to come and study. So that financial challenge was there, which was also overcome. Yeah, then after studying, then you need to break into the industry, and that is, I think, that's where majority of the people who are majority of the people that I know are trying to see how to break into that international or into the global space in the data space. And yeah, resilience, having good mentors, building up my network actually helped in getting into the data space. Yep.
Thank you so much. So the good part is you had challenges, but you actually found a way around overcoming them. Tell me about sleeping in the office for 3 months. That is so much determination, and a number of persons are not ready to actually go the extra mile because that is out of your comfort zone. You have a bed in your house, and somebody's telling you to sleep on the chair. So that is so much passion. That is so much passion. And well done to you and your friend for pulling that off. So,
Thank you.
what projects, what experiences has actually helped shape your data science or analytical career? So, you had to get a degree in the UK when you moved here, and that means you also had opportunity to actually study more. You had better lighting now, and you also had access to more materials. Yes. So, what projects, what experience, any do you have any particular impactful projects that you have actually embarked on that you'd like to highlight so that people hear about it?
Yeah, I just want to talk about my specialization now, which is on natural language processing, how I got into that particular field. So, yeah, that was during the lockdown, and I happened to get an internship with one of the AI companies in UK, and they were into social media analysis and all of that, building bots and all of that. So I got in there as a newbie, and everything we were talking about was just, yeah, I could relate because I've been studying machine learning, studying um, data science, data mining methodologies, and all of that. But seeing its application in the real world now started making sense. So they now moved me into the field where I can use the machine learning algorithms to build algorithms that are centered within um, social media data, because they have a bot that they deploy to their clients for their clients to understand how these insights are gotten. And then they also got the contract to work with some of the banks as well to give them insight as regards to the bounce back loan that UK government were giving us at that point. So that was how I got into that field, and decided to, you know what, this is where I'm going to stay. And all my project dissertation was just on natural language processing. And in fact, yeah, that's just how I started specializing in natural language processing. And with what is currently going on now in the field of AI, I think natural language processing is the key thing, where you look at language, large language modeling, generative pre-trained transformers, the chat GPTs and the likes of them. So I'm happy that I made that decision, and I'm happy that I switched to my field of natural language processing.
I'm happy for you too.
Thank
So,
you.
learning about this, it shows that you actually transitioned with the trend because you'd agree with me that at the time you started learning about all of these tech programs and courses, and as at the time that you actually had this experience, things have changed and maybe tech has gotten better. So, do you think it is possible to keep up with trends in the tech space? Because recently we had this AI coming into plain sight, and a number of persons feared that AI would take their jobs from them, or they'll probably have to be dismissed because AI was the new trend. So, what do you think? Do you think that AI is ever going to be able to do that from your own point of view? Do you think it's possible to have a time where data scientists, data analysts will no longer be needed because they have a good AI replacement? What's your view on that?
Okay, so this is one of the hot topics out there, and
Sure.
I've managed to speak in different conferences, and in fact, top professors that I admire have these conversations, heated conversations about AI taking over. Now, but before I answer that, let me just state this here. In the field of tech, I mean, tech is so big. So when you say tech, it's so big. So, but in the field of data at the moment, it's for you to keep up with the technology, you need to. It's a constant review. Like while I was trying to build myself within the data, within the system analyst space, the um, data storage and all that. There's these certifications you write every month, and that is what gives you license for you to function within that space. But within the data space, technology comes in. In fact, as I sit here, I'm asking myself, what am I going to experience next year in terms of technology? Because everybody woke up to the early of 2023 and we started hearing about ChatGPT. From there, we are now talking about generative form of AI, which was not there. And I keep saying that the definition of AI changes because when you look at the early stage that the first experiment or the first name of AI was mentioned, the purpose for it was just to think about it as a machine thinking like human. So it goes beyond thinking like human. Experiments are ongoing for people to for AI to, or systems or machines or robots to understand human feelings, and great success have been made in that regard. Now, coming back to the question about AI replacing jobs. See, let's not fiddle about it. It's just that I would have shared a screen where I have done a big analysis of industrial revolution. Industrial 1.0 was the advent of steam engines and the likes of them. And when you look at it, a lot of jobs were removed and a lot of jobs were created. Now, in this era of Industry 4.0, I think there should be an Industry 4.0 Pro Max or 4.0 Max where we now look at AI taking over. Let's tell ourselves the truth. Okay, let me give you an experiment that happened in the office one day. We told one of the bots to generate a code for us where we can do one of our tasks, and the AI bot generated exact code that we have on our repository. What I mean, we started looking at ourselves. Are you sure we'll be relevant? I mean, I, and
Okay.
my other colleague.
Other people around, yes.
Yes, that we're 19. So we now said to ourselves, so if my manager can code in Python and generate and knows that this kind of thing can generate this, do you really think will be needed? So first of all, the automated side, all tasks that are repetitive in nature will be overtaken completely. Right? So as time goes on, AI will start replacing jobs. Now, it now boils down to the people that uses AI. But even at that, I still have an argument to make there because if everyone starts using AI, who would then be replaced? So that's why we now have to go back to the basics. We have to go back to the basics. And the part of the basics that we need to go back is what are those soft skills that you need to possess that will derive the insight? Because at the long run, the bot generated the codes for us, but we spotted an error there. So just think about it for a second. If we are not good with those codes and it spotted that error, how do you think that would have been managed within the industry? And again, AI can generate build models for you, give you accuracy. It's still left for you as an individual to understand that. So it maybe when it comes to I mean, if there's going to be an opportunity for me to give advice, I'm going to give that advice. So a time is coming when we are also going to go back to the basics because that is where that the basics is just what we are going to see ongoing in order to use this technology effectively.
I think I love your POV, and this is more like an awareness so that those that are listening right now would understand that okay, try as much as you can to do so much with your soft skill and see how you can also follow up with the trends because everything is actually evolving. A number of persons would not believe that be the beginning of 2023 there will be anything that will be so much that everybody's always talking about chat gpt ai or any other thing that's ai related. So I just believe that everybody should just be up to date so that they're not left behind.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I mean,
your
sorry, just to
yeah,
mention something in
sure.
that regard, you are totally right
Okay.
because look at it for a sec. When we are learning, when we are learning deep learning, the normal examples you see, they will start showing us cat and dog, cat and dog, cat and dog. trying to learn, trying to teach. Trying to teach machines to learn cat and dog. Now, and it produces cat, it produces dog. Now it's gone beyond that to now generative AI. That is AI or intelligent system that have the ability to create cat and dog without being trained with cat and dog. So that evolution it's currently ongoing. And to be honest, I'm looking forward to the next big thing that is coming up within the AI space because we looked at GPT, generative pre-trained transformer, we're looking at GPT-4, and from those APIs, you can see what people are building, trying to build. I mean, it's amazing how things are evolving, but we need to talk about the ethical side of it.
Thank you so much. So, you mentioned you had to self-learn and also be a part of communities that actually taught you so much. So, at any point, did you actively network within a tech or a data analytics, data science community that actually helped you like make more push from where you already were? And you mentioned you had a number of mentors. So did you have mentors too in the tech community that actually helped you grow, or did you have to do it all by yourself?
Well, I'm not sure anybody. I'm not sure
Does
anyone that has grown in the field of data or in the tech did it all by himself. Because one, you will come to that T junction where you ask yourself, what should I learn? I mean, I know many people who are listening will understand that because there are plethora of topics, technology, techniques to learn. So you need somebody to guide you. And exactly, I got that mentor. I got that mentoring actually to build my career path on where I want to. And I speak with you this after today. I also had one-on-one section with one of my mentors as well this morning, which my pattern and redesigning of systems are currently changing. So the role of mentor is very, very key and cannot be overemphasized. Now, building with the community. Let me tell you this, right? When I hear people say they are finding it hard to break into the industry, the first thing that comes to my mind is the how big are their network. And now, when we say build your network, it's not just connecting to people on social media like LinkedIn and all that. Do those people you are connecting with, do they know your capability and what you can do? Because if you don't tell somebody I am here, nobody will know that you are there. Oh, we are friends and all that. So from time to time, you need to be showing your work while you build your community. Now, while I had several interviews that I attended to, and within those interviews, you could hear responses like, "Oh, you did very well in this interview, but unfortunately, there is someone else that did better off than you." And you now be like, "Okay, what is the feedback that you need me to learn from?" And the person will say, "No, no, there's no feedback, just that you did well, but someone did better off than you." What does that tell you? This goes beyond you doing very well. This goes beyond the hirer or the employer knowing the person that can do the work better off, because again, no one is indispensable. I mean, so networking is key, but taking impact of or trying to create value out of that network. So when some people reach out to me and said, "Oh, I'm looking for a job or I'm doing this or doing that," the first thing I ask them, "Let me see your CV." When you send me your CV, I mean, you can't really see what they've achieved within their CV. But the next thing I'll ask is, "Okay, do you have a GitHub account where I can see what you've done?" "Oh, so you've done this, you've done that." "Okay, fine." That's where the conversation needs to start building. But yeah, networking is key, but let that person know the value that you possess, not just the person bearing your, he's a data scientist. That's just a title. What aspect of the work are you doing as a data scientist? And what can they say that, yes, you've actually done? Just think about somebody. Okay, when I come and meet you, I'm one, please write a reference letter for me. What are you going to put in the reference letter to start with? "Oh, I know him, he's a data scientist." That's not enough. You have to be specific. So you need to show yourself and let the person know what you are. So once you are building that network, let the person know what you can do. If possible, ask for the person projects that you can design or do for that person so as to boost yourself. Because when that recommendation will come, when the job adverts or whatever is being just one or two notes. Okay, I've known this person, I've worked with him on social projects, and that is it, and that solves it. That's how people clinch all of this. Though they'll still follow the process of being interviewed and the likes of them, but that speaks volume. Your networking, but not just having a network, making a great impact or getting value from that network. Sorry, I've talked too much.
We love it. And I am pretty sure that everybody that can hear you actually is very inspired by all the information you're actually dishing out to us right now. So, that aside, about your career transitioning journey, we touched that a little, but I really want to know, there's no way you'd forget your first role as a data analyst or as a data scientist. So, how would you actually describe your career progression? It is very certain that you are better than you were now. You're better than you were actually when you started compared to now. So,
Yeah.
how would you actually describe your career progression from your initial role when you actually started off in this tech ecosystem down to now? And did you have any pivotal moments or job transition process that was very significant to you that you want people to actually know about?
Hmm. Okay, I mean that's a whole lot of questions to answer, and I'm thinking in my brain now which one. So, tech space is big because I mean we could arguably say that I've been in the tech space for longer. That's after my first degree, because from
Sure.
system analyst still within the tech space. Then I'm now in the data space, probably an AI expert, certified and named among the top five AI experts by United States Institute of Artificial Intelligence. But all of those things are just to solidify the knowledge and to prove a point in within the ecosystem. But now, what are those pivotal points in my career journey? Well, the point still remains that I am still growing. Like I said to you, I have a whole lot of mentors that I am still feeding off from them, trying to become a better version of myself. But the pivotal moment of my life was getting into the data space. The data space is big. Is big. That's the truth. So, and this is my postulation. This is what I keep saying, that in the next 5 to 10 years, data analytics skill set will become a soft skill. I'll say it. In the next 5 to 10 years, data analytics skills will become soft skills. You know those moments where they will tell you you have to have computer appreciation skills before you can get any job. That's the way it's going because every field now generates data and needs data experts who can analyze such data. I remember while I was doing my BSc, some people will go and meet some statisticians to derive inferences, plug different algorithms for them to build the analysis. So now, it was at that point of my life, being a physicist, graduating with physics and learning data and trying to transition in the field of AI. Okay, we have quantum AI. All right. We have, I mean, from my experience in the banking sector, that would have, in financial sector, that would have been a big boost, boom, I mean, for me to dive into. So it was that was the career defining moment for me to understand which of the industries do I need to get into. Because I know I've gone for an interview somehow. Oh, you have the experience, but you don't have this experience in this industry. So I think it's not just learning the skills, but identify the industry where your background lies and build build yourself within that industry. Well, I mean, to somebody starting new, that may likely be a big thing to do because what the person just needs is just a ground to scratch and get into. But nevertheless, you still need your background knowledge because in the field of data, domain knowledge is key. Just think of, for example, you are analyzing genomic data. I mean, the reason why I'm saying that because one of the tasks I worked as a new data scientist was on genomic data, federated analytics on genomic data. And at that point, I need to get back and start reading medical terms, trying to understand what they are saying. All I know is I can tell you the algorithm that will work fine with this and all of that. But domain knowledge is key which we need to understand. And at that point, I had to now redefine myself and try to factor in my background or build background or domain knowledge where I am. And that is just my piece of advice at this point if you are transitioning. And that was my momental or pivotal point in my data transitioning into an NLP expert within the industry or within the industry I'm working with at the moment.
Okay, that's fantastic. So you mentioned that you actually were able to um kind of like have different phases in the whole transition process. So it didn't just happen all at once. And you also mentioned that in the next 5 to 10 years, data science, data analytics is going to be a part of the soft skills that people would actually need to actually learn before they actually eventually get into any job role or job that they're trying to search for. So, what's your opinion about the whole data science world? Do you think those that are going to learn data science, those that would want to learn data analytics, should be scared that there's going to be a time where it will be saturated, where there will be no more space for new data analysts to actually join in? Because you actually mentioned that very soon it's going to be very mandatory to have all of that. But those that are about to transition, those that are about to get into the tech space, should they be scared of the fact that if I join now, it gets to a point where they're telling me, no, 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 we don't need any more data scientists or we don't need any more data analysts. So, those that are listening to you, what would you like to tell them about that? Would there ever be a time it will be saturated?
Yeah, there'll be a time, but let me put it in context so that viewers can understand me clearly.
All right.
You see, we talked about AI taking over jobs. So what we mean is if a company wants to hire 10 data analysts, they may end up hiring one person. That doesn't mean that it's going to rule out human in the process or take off human. So there'll always be human in the loop. Now, back to your question, it's not going to be saturated. And this is what I keep saying because what gave birth to the era of big data that we are talking about is because data is increasing. How much of this data can you crunch as an individual within your space, right? So what people need to start looking at is how can one harness the data and use it to improve social good or social and build social economic improve social economic lives and the environment around them. So think as an entrepreneur and as an intrapreneur, both factors. That is just where that is going to fit in because it will come to a point where companies will just need to hire only one machine learning expert, bearing in mind that there are other things that needs to come into play. And what will also make you relevant is your domain knowledge. So it's not going to be saturated because different domains are bound and different domains are coming up. So you just need to find where you are good at, niche on it, and drive from there. So it's not going to be saturated. Everybody is welcome. And again, tools are also increasing out there. So you can only be good with what you are, the tools that you are currently, and it may not be well and another industry, the tool that you are using. So it can be saturated. So who wants to get into this industry needs to get into this industry. And besides, this industry is not new. Let me still put it out there because then we have business intelligence who were there in place because all of them, all the career paths, they all work with data. So what now defines it is what you as an individual wants to do with data. Some are into data architecture and storage and all of that, which we may likely look at them as data engineers. Some are into even product designers are also make use of data and the likes of them. So technology is big and can accommodate everybody.
All right, thank you so much for that. So, I'll just do a quick misconception that you have heard about tech that you know that is actually wrong. So you can tell us just one misconception that people have about transitioning into the tech world and you want to highlight it, that please don't be scared about it. You already helped us understand that you're welcome to become a data scientist or a data analyst or even any of the roles in the tech space. So, what misconception do you think people have that they should actually have a rethink about so that they can actually eventually transition into the tech world or the tech space?
Hmm, that's a very tough question. I mean, you know why I said it's a tough question? Because
Tell me. Okay.
there's this slogan there's this slogan that I developed, and which is the principle is the same, but the application differs. So why this may not why this may not work for you, or this myth may not be true for you, it may be true for another person. One of the biggest myths, and I'm going to put it in context. So I'm going to say it and I'll put it in context for my audience to understand. One, when they tell you that there is money in the data space.
Okay. Right on, right on. I can listen. We're all hearing you.
When they tell you there is money in it, if in every career, the transitioning stage, you don't just get in and you eat that money immediately. You don't just get in and eat that money immediately. I mean, because I've had time to speak with my mentors, top execs, C class level, and they will tell you that when they started, they didn't even start with data. But even when they got into the data space, they were not hitting that 6 figures or 7 figures. So because people come with this mindset, but at some point I tell people, if you are thinking of quitting within the data space, you may want to go to job sites and look at how much they are being paid to know that it's actually worth the sacrifice. But the myth is, just expect that, don't think that once you just learn this skill set, you become a machine learning expert or a data scientist, NLP expert, you just hit it big immediately, get into where you get 6 figures. Companies will employ you for your level of experience. That is one. So that's, I'm happy I've put that into concept. Now, the second myth, again, the principle is the same, but the application differs, is as regards to formal education. I know I'm going to be screwed by saying this. Within the data space, there is need for a formal education, but that don't see it as a disadvantage if you don't have that opportunity to a formal education. Because in some countries, what they do, they have these apprenticeship programs where people can just come and learn, or they try to create it in a formal education. There are guys out there. In fact, when you go to Computer Village in Lagos, you see a lot of techie guys there, because I missed with them while I was in Nigeria. They are so good. I mean, when I meet, oh goodness me, those guys at Computer Village, that's why it's called Computer Village. They are so good with technology. They build tech. There's no system that you cannot break into when you take your system there. But what I'm trying to say is, formal education, there is a big difference between someone who went to university to study MSc in data science and someone who learned data science skill sets. You always see that gap. It calls down into quality, it calls down into leadership, it boils down into so many things. But what matters is, if you're opportune to learn it by the roadside, if I mean maybe roadside is not the right word, if you're opportune to pick up the skills by mentor platforms, boot camps, and the likes of them, you then need to now start working your way from the top down to pick up those basics that formal education tries to create, irrespective of what the skill set is. I mean, so that's one of the myths, and I'm happy that I've put them in context. Now, another one is people thinking that you don't have a life as a data scientist. That may be true. So when I mean you don't have a life, I mean you're always working on projects, trying to debunk, trying to resolve error message, trying to build new things. Well, that's not true, but you need to understand that there is a learning stage. From the learning stage, then you now grow into it. So because what I tell people is, if you say you want to learn machine learning algorithms, try to learn it in such a way that when you see a task, before you even try to bring in every algorithms to model to see the best accuracy, you should at the top of your head know which of the algorithms that will give you a good accuracy, because one, every algorithm is solving the problem that another algorithm cannot solve. That's how the discovery was made in every algorithm. Now you get to that point where you now start understanding what it entails. So it's going to require proper learning and continual growth. When you have gotten to that stage, then you may want to have, I mean, you now know that you've grown into that stage where you can have a time for yourself, you can go on vacations, you can carry out projects, deliver on those projects without less issues and all that. So I mean, it's in stages, because you see a lot of people. I mean, if you go to YouTube, you see a lot of people that will give you 10 reasons why you shouldn't be a data scientist, 100 reasons why you shouldn't be a machine learning expert, or 1001 reasons why you shouldn't be in the technology space. But again, you need to understand that where there is pain, there is always a gain. Where you need to learn, you need to take yourself deep in learning. I mean, I'm super excited that we did that 3 months trying to get into the boot camp and learning. And it's not a surprise where my colleague is at the moment, also in UK, doing well in one of the top institutions in UK at the moment. So it actually pays. I think these are the top three that top three meets that I think. Um, if you have heard it in the past, please
Should be addressed.
just know that there's a bright side of it, irrespective of what people are facing.
All right, thank you so much. Nothing good actually comes easy. You have to work hard for it. And if you're smart enough, you're going to rise. But if you're not, you just stay and you don't get to the six figures level. But as long as you're ready to put in the work and you're smart about it, you would get there. But you don't just get there
No,
at once.
I'm one. Let's see.
Okay. All
Continuous
right.
learning and growth
Okay.
will give you the 6 figures. But if you think
Great.
that once you just learn it and get into the industry,
You're going to get it. Yeah. You're on your own. You are on your own. So you have to continuously learn and continuously grow, because they would only pay you for value that you can deliver. You don't expect to
true.
be paid for under delivering. But when you are able to deliver, whoever is going to be paying you will be very excited that yes, I'm very certain that I'm going to get value for whatever this person is actually going to offer me. So yes, I'm ready to actually pay. I think that makes so much sense. Hope you are listening. Hope you are jotting things down, guys. So it has gotten to the point where you give an advice, a word of advice to those actually watching this podcast right now that is considering transitioning into the tech space. Could be AI, data science, data analysis, but they're actually scared of actually doing that. So what do you want to tell them? What do you want them to hear so that it would give them an extra push to actually move further and
Okay,
make this
so the application is the same. Sorry, the principle is the same, but the application
okay?
is different, and it's a continuous conversation. So try to get a mentor who are already doing well in the field that will guide you in every step, because the informations out there can be confusing. I'm telling you the truth. I mean, I remember somebody, one of my mentees, met me and said, "I want to learn Python, but which of the IDEs should I use? Should I use Jupyter Notebook? Should I use this? Should I use that?" It can be confusing. So you need a
Yes.
mentor. You need a mentor that will guide you. Now, there was a point I did not want to mention as regards to the meats side of things, which I'm going to advise anyone that is listening to me, because from the people that I've interacted with, one of the things that deviates them away from getting into the field of analysis or AI or machine learning is that aspect of coding. So more especially they see it as, oh, must you know how to code before you can be an expert? No, no. Must you know mathematics or statistics before you can? No. You don't need all of those things. But this is what I'm going to say, and I'm going to put it in context. All right. We have different AI tools that you don't really need to know how to code. They are drag and drop. Azure platform is there. BigML is there. We have Artries. So those tools are there. Now, but I will encourage you to learn how to code. There's this popular slogans. It gets why. I don't permit me to use that slogan. It
It
gets why.
gets why.
It gets
Yes.
why. I mean, so
Yes.
that's it.
Yes.
That's a popular slogan in for
Yeah.
those watching from me coming from Nigeria. It gets why. So there's a reason why if you can learn how to code, please learn how to code because although no or low code platforms are going to take over the market as predicted by PwC and those big organizations, have you ever asked yourself how come those low or no code platforms still have an add-on on it where you can import Python, import R, or import all those coding platform to it? So if you can learn how to code, it will actually make you be an expert. I code in Python, and sometimes when I use some of these no code platforms, there are some things that I can't customize it to do that I need to import Python packages into it and code it in Python, but it will still give me what I want. So coding should not make you not to get into the field because there are a lot of coding there. Now, the second point is take your soft skills, take it to heart and take it well. Some of those soft skills are within the data space. So you may want to Google 20 soft skills required in getting into data or getting into the data or AI space. You may want to research it. Then I want you to pick up one or two tools as well because you can't parade yourself as an AI specialist or a data analyst without learning one or two tools. And the top of the tools are Python, SQL, R, and the likes of them, Tableau, Power BI. At least just learn one or Excel. Start even with Excel that is common. Advanced Excel. Try to use those tools because there's no how you want to say you can analyze data without using a tool to do that. We have SPSS, we have SAS. Try to master one of those tools and master it well. Then don't be a jack of all trade. But I will advise you to be a jack of all trade. I'm not confusing you. Let me explain. You
Please
see,
explain. You just said don't be a jack of all trades.
so
And
when
your
I say,
advice.
okay, go ahead.
Okay. I'm listening. I'm listening. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so when I say don't be a jack of all trade, let me put the context. You pick up Python to learn, and oh, you now saw a post, somebody doing SQL challenge, 100 days SQL challenge, and the person is close to you. You leave your Python halfway and you get into SQL. Or you see someone doing SQL, or you see a book that comes in, oh, how I got into the job with SQL skill set or with Tableau skill set. You then leave SQL and you start learning Tableau. You are trying to be jack of all trade in that regard. And you now see that you become half baked in the industry. The only you just be giving yourself an illusion. Oh, do you know Python? Yes, I know Python, but you don't know Python. That's the truth, because you crashed. You didn't finish the course, or you did a crash course on it. So that's what I mean by don't be a jack of all trade. Now, when I mean be a jack of all trade, this is what I mean. For every tool you are opportune to learn it to advanced or above medium level. Learn it to advanced or above medium level, because this is what I keep saying. The tool can never be a problem to anybody. Take for example, if you are working in an environment where they use Microsoft Power BI, then you get into an environment, or you get a high paying job where they use Tableau. At that point, the tool can never be your problem. All you need to do is to know what you want to do. Then you could just go on the internet and Google, how can I do this in Tableau? And you see 1001 people that have done that. So the tool is not the problem. Are you still there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, the tool isn't the problem. I got that.
So learn one tool, but learn it very well. So just think, just for imagine you are so good with Power BI, you've learned Power BI, you get into an environment where they use Tableau, you are going to be an expert there. You get into an environment where they use Ultras, you are going to be an expert there because you've known it very well. So that's what I mean by being jack of all trade, but don't be jack of all trade. Know it very well so that you can talk as an expert, understand what it means. Knowledge transfer between tools becomes very easy in the process when you know it very well. But when you are half baked, you didn't finish one course or learn it end to end, it becomes a problem. And that's one of the challenges people make. Their CV looks wonderful like a giant, but when you give them a task, you'll be wondering. I was shocked when somebody asked me what's an outlier. And I was just looking at myself, okay,
Oh my
you
god.
said you are certified as Google Analytics. I mean, I started scratching. Okay, that's fine. I just had to explain what an outlier means. But again, to me, the outlook doesn't look good because it now looks like so that's a popular slogan. Even people use it in a day-to-day conversation. So that's just the top tip. And again, it differs. So it depends on what your stage is, what your issues are, or this. Then you can actually get a customized mentoring or a customized information as to what that entails. I think I talked too much. God. Okay, I have to stop at this point.
We love how much information you're actually giving us. Thank you so much. Now, this has
You're
been an
welcome.
amazing session, and I am certain that everybody that listened and got to this point actually has a good story to tell, and I'm sure that they are moved. For those that are dragging their feet, yes, they are going to definitely start their journey into transitioning into the tech world after having to listen to our Sebastian Obeta. Thank you so much for joining us on today's podcast. It is quite an honor to actually have you on today's edition of Tech Unbound with 10 Analytics. And I don't know if you have any closing remarks, anything you want to tell the audience, something that they should hear one more time before we actually end this session.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, honestly. And all I just want to say is that tech space is the beautiful world where you don't need to struggle. You don't need to struggle because everything you need, you see people who are ready to even give you the advice, teach you, mentor you within the tech space. I don't think there's any other industry or any other field where you can get such volume of information that will keep you striving and going. Just get a mentor and you should be fine. Thank you
Thank you
once
so
again.
much. Thank you so much. So, guys, I remain your host, Aima Odia. And if you are yet to subscribe, click on the subscribe button and also do well to ring that notification bell so you never miss any exciting updates that will be dropping here. Do have an amazing day and do take care.